One thing y'all know about Chicago Bulls Central is we're not sugarcoating nothing for nobody, and we're definitely not doing that today because, listen, the Bulls injury report before the Heat game is looking more like an emergency list. Plus, we're going to be talking about no Giddey, no Vooch, no Jalen Smith, and even Coby White's questionable as well. And if that happens, this could be a straight-up strategic breather before the game on Sunday. We'll talk a little bit about what that means. Plus, we're going to talk about the NBA trade deadline, which is only days away, and the Bulls, of course, are at a crossroads they continue to stay at. So we'll take a look at that and why Ayo Dosunmu trade rumors are a trap that the Bulls cannot afford to fall into. Ayo Dosunmu is culture. We're going to talk about all that, plus dive into the mailbag right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and start off, man, with this, man. We need to do, I know we've done a trade deadline primer as far as talking about all the rumors and stuff before the NBA trade deadline, but I want to kind of get more things together, right, on that. Like, this is a trade deadline where a couple of things can be made clear by the Chicago Bulls, right? This trade deadline should be about adding clarity and not confusion for this team, meaning that whatever you do, right, if it is you're moving Coby White, how does that add clarity to the next step for your roster? If you're moving Ayo Dosunmu, if you're moving the expiring contracts, whatever you're doing there, what is the clarity that you're trying to add with this team? This has been a up and down season where injuries have been one of the biggest stories and biggest factors for the Chicago Bulls. But like I've said, and I want to focus on you guys first. A lot of Bulls fans have said, well, we'll be all right if it's not for the injuries. Once everybody gets back healthy, we'll be perfectly fine. We'll be competing. We can even be above 500. And I want to be clear. Maybe you're right. But at some point, you have to also realize health is just not in the cards for your team. Have you built a team where health is just something that's going to avoid you? And I mean, in the reality, let's look at it. Jalen Smith out with the injury. He's been a pretty often injured player throughout his career. Not major injuries, which are there, but he's missed games over his career. Zach Collins has been basically injured off and on since he's been here with the Chicago Bulls. Coby White hasn't always been injured, but it's like every other season there's a major injury for Coby White, which is that part there. So it's just like, is that health that you're after never going to be there? That's why I'm not mad at the Yves Missi trade rumors or the Bulls going after Nick Claxton or whatever, because, you know, people have asked, what does that mean for Zach Collins and still got Jalen here and all these guys? Listen, they're not healthy enough, right? So there's that part into it. So it should be first and foremost, this trade deadline should be about adding clarity to the Chicago Bulls team. Yes, the revamped offense with Josh Giddey being there has been great. It's been great to see. But the same thing is that we need more. We need health, and we're still missing the frontline defense that we're missing. So, again, you know, we have a veteran in Nikola Vucevic that should be adding some clarity to this team, but he adds to the inconsistencies of this team. Now, he's in a really good stretch here. I got to give Vooch credit. He's in a much better stretch there. But at the same time, when you look at it, with Nikola Vucevic on the court, we're 24th in defensive rating in the NBA. That's just not going to be something that you fix with Vooch in the lineup with where he's currently at in his career, in my personal opinion, right? The second thing for this trade deadline is if you want to be competitive, great, but don't be competitive and stuck. That's one thing with this team. Yeah, sure, we've beaten some teams in the Eastern Conference. We beat some winning teams. We always have that good stretch where we look solid at. But at the same time, we're stuck in that, right? And we can't allow the flashes of being competitive to leave us stuck where we don't make a move. And that's where I have the most concern about AK, right? Is that the moment the Bulls start doing and looking like they're on a path and moving, it's almost like he's like, bet, we just got to sit back and not do nothing now. And that's what has left the Bulls consistently falling behind the rest of the Eastern Conferences because, all right, cool. Like, yeah, you become competitive, but you can't stay competitive because those other teams that are around you, they're always making moves to get better. They're always looking out how they can improve their team, how they can get better, which then eventually just leaves you stuck behind the 8 ball, which the Bulls end up doing. And that's why we have stayed in the play. Now, you know, teams like the Atlanta Hawks and Miami Heat have stayed in that playing area with it. But, you know, they have come out the play-in before. We haven't made it out the play-in tournament, so we can't consistently be stuck in there. Sure, the Bulls are high in attendance. We're third in the NBA in attendance. That's all great and fine and dandy for Jerry Reinsdorf's pockets, but what about Bulls fans that want to see this team win, right? And then the second part, I like to call this, there's a trap here, right? When it comes to Ayo Dosunmu that I feel that the Bulls are in, is that you have a lot of teams that are interested in Ayo. Yes, because of his cheap contract, because of, the fact that he's a two-way player, the fact that he's continually improved. But the trap that you can very well fall into with that is the fact that, hey, isn't that a player that you're going to want on your team when you win? And I'm not trying to hear from any of the Bulls fans that try to say, oh, well, a player like Ayo Dosunmu is expendable, because y'all tried to say the same thing about Alex Caruso, and the moment that he left, y'all bitched about that, right? So you have to start keeping players around. I get it. You can fall into a trap of, well, hey, there's value here now for him in the trade market, but let's say you get a first-round pick back for Ayo Dosunmu. Even though Ayo was a second-round pick himself, what's the chances that first-round pick is going to be a better player than Ayo Dosunmu? Especially because you're getting it from contenders, which means that they're improving their roster, which means that pick is probably going to be sub 20. Now, this is a very deep draft. Make no mistake about that. I'm not mad at you making your swing, but again, you gotta like, there's the chance of getting a player that fits in, that doesn't need shots, that's so seamlessly to build around. Trading Ayo would be trading the wrong building block, in my personal opinion, and you can't do that. It's malpractice, even if you get a first-round pick back, and then that first-round pick ends up being nothing close to what Ayo Dosunmu gives you consistently. And I think it also sends mixed messages about where we're doing and what we're trying to get at. Moving Ayo, like, okay, cool. If you're going to commit to a full teardown, okay. But the Bulls, we know, aren't doing that. They're not committing to a full teardown. They're not committing to those type of things. And so you need that. Ayo Dosunmu brings identity to this Bulls team. He is one of the few players that does that. I think Josh Giddey does that offensively, what he does and how he creates and how the offense hums with Josh Giddey's out there and fully healthy. He came back, that first game back, it looked amazing. He's looked more like a player since then that is coming back from injury. But like, you don't have a lot of tone setters on this team. You need that. It's not just going to flip like this. You're not just going to all of a sudden get a superstar. You don't have the trade assets that are going to net you a top 5 pick, so you're not going to get a superstar, right? At best, you're hoping to get a solid two-way starting caliber player. You have that already. His name is Ayo Dosunmu, and I think you also look at how sometimes things collapse. If anything, we need to be playing Ayo Dosunmu more in fourth quarters. We need to be running more opportunities for Ayo. He's our best three-point shooter. We need to start running three-point shots for Coby and Vooch. And if they're showing that they don't have it, Ayo needs to be getting those opportunities to close. Modest needs to be getting those opportunities to close. So when you look at a versatile player that can do all those type of things around it, why would you give that up for a first-round pick that's going to be sub 20? And I think everybody kind of zooms into, oh, it's a first-round pick. All right, it's a first-round pick that if you trade, let's say you trade Ayo to the Minnesota Timberwolves, there's a complete possibility that pick can end up being 28. Are you going to get a player better than Ayo Dosunmu at that state? I highly doubt it. Right? I don't want to make this just about Ayo, but there's a cost to that. I think more importantly than anything at this trade deadline, the Chicago Bulls need to pick a lane or crash the fuck out. That's just what it is, right? And so that's what it comes down to. Not only would you be losing a direction, not only would you be losing part of your culture and identity, you'd also be losing. And again, I'm saying this in the sense that don't just trade Ayo for a pick. Now, if you trade Ayo and you get I don't even know. I know he's not available, but if you get a Jalen Duren level pick with that and the Portland pick, okay, you do that trade. But for the people that just have the mindset of let's just trade players to just trade them because, oh, we can get a pick, very rarely does that pick end up better than the player that you traded them for. Especially for a player like Ayo that's built, grown, and developed in this team. Make the right trades and be strategic in what you're doing. AK far too often doesn't seem strategic. He seems reactive. That's what we have to stop at this trade deadline, and hopefully the Bulls can do that. Again, so there's a couple of things that should be the goal at this trade deadline for the Chicago Bulls. Adding clarity, right? If you're going to be competitive, actually make a move that makes you more competitive. Do that. Or make a move that stacks assets for yourself, right? Do those type of things. Be smart and strategic in what you're getting. Don't just make a move to make a move. I don't give a damn that there are Bills fans that are whining and complaining. We just need to make a trade. Fuck those fans. Make the right, and fuck me too. I want to be clear. I'm not just saying y'all. But make a move that clearly puts your team on a path to do something. Stop being stuck. We'll see what happens here with the Chicago Bulls, because this is a trade deadline where you have all the assets at your disposal that are possible. Go out there and make something happen. Don't just sit on sitting on all the assets that we have. To just recap, $89 million in expiring contracts, $20 million in trade exceptions, a disabled player exception that you have for Noah Essengay. If you let this, between the trade deadline and the buyout market, completely pass you by and you do nothing, That is malpractice from a front office. So we're going to see what happens with that one, right? But we do have a game today against the Miami Heat. And the thing I'm going to focus on, because we all know the strategy with the Bulls. We all know what they need to do on the basketball court. The thing comes down to this is the number of players that could be missing in this. Josh Giddey, who missed the game on Thursday against the Heat, has been upgraded to questionable. We'll see what happens there. Jalen Smith, who left the game with a right calf strain and did not return as well, he's probably not going to play in this game. It is what it is. Then you look at Nikola Vucevic, who has been listed as doubtful to play on Saturday as well. Right there, that's 3 players, all starters. On top of that, Coby White has also been downgraded to questionable against the Miami Heat because, again, it's the first of a back-to-back. So when you look at this right now, we could be rolling into a game where we don't have our starting point guard, we don't have a starting center, we don't have a starting shooting guard, and we're missing our starting power forward. That's 4 players, 4 starters there. And Jalen Smith has earned the right to be called a starter on this team, right? And so that leaves you now where you're going into a game against the Miami Heat potentially where Modest and Ayo Dosunmu are going to be the players that you have to look at to do the most for this team. Trey Jones is already out for the Bulls scheme. Zach Collins is already out. That's 6 rotational players that are going to be missing this game for the Chicago Bulls. This is a brutal stretch. So you're looking at Ayo Dosunmu, Modest Buzelis, Isaac Okoro, Kevin Huerter. You're looking at these guys. You're going to need somebody. Yuki's probably going to get in this game, right? Julian Phillips, Patrick Williams, those guys, Dalen Terry, we're going to need those guys in this game. Now, the Miami Heat are also hurting right now. Tyler Hero remains out. He's not going to be playing in this game either. Norman Powell could also miss this game. Davion Mitchell is also out in this game also. So as it stands right now, heading into the trade deadline, the Bulls have often injured players. Now, some are going to say, hey, are they holding these guys out to move them? We'll see. We'll see, because maybe that is the case. Maybe this is strategic in that sense. I don't like to give AK props early to be that he's being strategic. I need to actually see the results of it first. But this is a game against Miami Heat to where we could call this the struggle bowl. This is going to be a very struggle-full game for the Chicago Bulls because, again, I still trust the Miami Heat more, even with missing key pieces, because guess what? They have Eric Spoelstra. We don't have a coach at that level here in the building for Chicago. So because of that, that's gonna put the Miami Heat a little bit above the Chicago Bulls in this matchup. But as always, we'll see what this team does. Hopefully they come out into this one. They come out prepared. They come out ready to go, because this game has the potential to be absolutely disgusting. And we'll see how that works out for the Chicago Bulls. But with that said, man, let's get into the mailbag. It is Saturday. That means it is mailbag day here at Chicago Bulls Central. Let's get into this first mailbag that we have here, man. This one's from Jeremy.
Hey, what's up, Haize? This your boy Jeremy down in Oklahoma again. Hey, I was watching Locked On Bulls with Pat talking about the Lakers game when Mattis didn't get fucking any minutes in the fourth quarter, and man, he had me fired up because I was telling my wife the fucking same thing. Mattis, where is he at? They didn't have him in the fourth quarter. You know, Billy's a fucking idiot. He keeps doing this dumb shit. I mean, I need Mattis out there. I need him failing more. That's the way he can fucking learn. I mean, that's what I was telling my wife weeks ago. That I need Mattis to fucking try more, fail more, whatever it takes. But, I mean, put him on the fucking bench in the fourth quarter when meaningful minutes in a meaningless fucking game. What the fuck are we doing, Billy? Really? We can let Dalen Terry get fucking minutes, and I love Dalen Terry. Goddamn. We got Horter out there jacking up shit. And I was just saying last call, like I was glad Horter found his shot. But damn, man, I don't care if we're losing or not. Winning, what the fuck? Mattis needs to be out there in the fucking fourth quarter when the fucking minutes count, when he's the fucking future of our damn franchise. I mean, it's Mattis and Giddey and hopefully fucking Noah. But then, damn, I'm worried about when Noah gets here. I mean, what's Billy going to do now? Because, I mean, they're sure as shit ain't doing nothing with fucking Billy. I mean, I'm fucking sick of it, man. I've been a fucking Bulls fan for over 45 fucking years. And we finally have a piece that's fucking worth, you know, I mean, Mattis is the fucking truth. I mean, I saw it when we got D-Rose. I'm telling you, and this is fucking idiot chewing his damn bubble gum. And I'm in Oklahoma, so I've seen this damn moron plenty. I mean, and it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Like he said, like Pat said, why is Vooch out there? I mean, Mattis should be out there regardless. Succeeding, failing, that's how he's going to learn. But, man, I'm sorry I'm fired up. But, man, be red. Peace.
All right, so I'm all for developing players, right? But I'm somebody that I'm not mad at developing players in structure. What I mean by that is some people are like, oh, well, we need to be giving Modest 16, 18 shots per game. Here's the thing. I think you learn better. You tell more about a player when they have to develop where there are other players on the team that are getting shots. If you can only develop on a team where you're getting the most shots, then I question that development. How then are you going to play once the team does get good? Hell, we saw it with like Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine was putting up almost 50, 40, 90 seasons. The moment that the standard change around this team, we were trying to compete for the playoffs, it wasn't the same. We saw it, right? So I'm all for players developing in structure. Now, I do also think that the short leash that Billy Donovan has Modest on gets to be a bit much at times. Like, he gets yanked for things that Vooch does every single day and never gets yanked, right? So you do have to allow the player, and I think a player like Modest too, who learns from his mistakes. The thing about Modest is he beats himself up over making mistakes. So if you allow him to make that, I think you actually jumpstart his development by making him have that. So I agree. I think I agree with both sides of it. It has to be situational. I do think with this Bulls team aiming to win games, there are going to be some times where if Modest is not bringing it and somebody else is, you're going to have to play that game. I think you can also learn through that, but I do want to see Modest get those opportunities in the clutch. How else are you going to learn if you're not in there in the clutch? Now, it's up for Modest to mitigate those mistakes. You want those mistakes to be less and less if you allow the opportunity to work through them, and that's all Modest to do. And let's hope that he can do that and then quiet and shut up Billy Donovan and actually come in and play for this Bulls team. So let's see if he can do it. I love Modest. You guys know I've talked so much about it. I love Modest Buzelis as a player. I think the sky's the limit for Modest, and he just has to go out there and perform it. So I understand your frustration completely, Jeremy. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Andrew.
Hey, Haize, this is Andrew. First time, long time. I wanted to throw out a trade candidate for the deadline coming up that not many people are mentioning, but I think it'd be a great swing for the Bulls, and that'd be Jalen Suggs. With Orlando being close to the aprons next year, with Paolo, Franz, and Bane's huge contracts, and them wanting to keep Anthony Black most likely, who's having a great year, Suggs kind of feels like the odd man out. This also seems realistic because we know AK has a tendency to only do trades with teams he has dealt with before. So the Bulls offering some expirings like Kevin Huerter and Coby White, who could space the floor for them and Paolo. And we also know Orlando's been interested in Coby White. We could get that two-way play in our backcourt that we've always needed, a guy who can get you 30 and play great defense when he's healthy, like Isaac Okoro, but better, and I just keep imagining, with a healthy Suggs, a lineup of Suggs, Ayo, Modest, Jalen Smith, and maybe Zach Collins or a center we draft is just basically a lineup full of average to plus defenders on the court at once. Modest can take up more of the offensive load and learn from someone like Jalen Suggs on the defensive end. Let me know your thoughts. Just an idea that I had this morning. If we had to give up the Portland pick in it, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but definitely not any of our own first-round picks since it seems like we're kind of helping out Orlando at the same time. I know it's a big swing for Jalen Suggs, but if he could stay healthy, I think it could be a low-key great move for us. Let me know your thoughts.
There's zero chance the Magic trade Jalen Suggs. Like, when we come up with these trade ideas, let's make sure that we're looking at why the team would give up Jalen Suggs. He's too important to their culture, to their identity. And here's the thing, too. I don't even want him on Bulls. We have our point guard. Jalen Suggs is best when playing point guard. We have our point guard. His name's Josh Giddey. We also have Trey Jones already locked in. What Jalen Suggs does bring, I would rather just start Ayo Dosunmu and let Ayo develop in that case than bring in Jalen Suggs and have to trade a player to get him in there, like our asset or a first-round pick. So I'm good on Jalen Suggs. Not the fact that he's a bad player or anything, but I think we may already have a Jalen Suggs. His name is Ayo Dosunmu, and I think with the growth that he's had, if he gets an opportunity to start, I think we can see similar numbers and production from Ayo. And between Ayo and Trey Jones, I think we're kind of covered there. Personal opinion. But again, everybody's listening to this. Let me know what you guys think on Andrew's here point. Would you like to see Jalen Suggs in a Bulls uniform? All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Vaughn.
What's good, Haize? This is Vaughn from Indianapolis. Appreciate the love on the voicemails. I'm glad I tuned into all your content, but I've caught myself a couple times, and my daughter was like, "Is that you?" So I was like, "Yeah, that's me." But anyway, man, listening this morning, I love the idea of the Mather and Messi trade. One or the other would be great. I've always been a big Matherin fan. I'm actually going to the Bulls-Pacers game tonight, taking my son. We always go when they come in town. But again, I'm not going to be a broken record and talk about the pecking order, but I will go back to a point that I have made with you before, and I'm going to stick with that. The Bulls have talked about emulating the Pacers, and that requires two-way players. Like I said, I got a up-close and personal look. I do watch the NBA, man. It ain't just box scores. Not as much as you, but I watch the Pacers because I'm here. And when you look at them, you look at guys like Nembhard. You look at guys like Naismith, even a guy like Pascal Siakam. They don't have a lot of turnstiles on that team. And then they had Miles Turner, and they're definitely missing him from a defensive standpoint. But the Bulls need more two-way players, period. Like you said the other day, Werder is not – actually, he is one of their better on-ball defenders. He gives maximum effort. He moves his feet. He even gets blocked sometimes. But I'm actually thinking, and as part of the trade, I'm thinking Werder may have to go. And I don't know how that works out. Maybe that throws everything out, and that's only because if Ayo and Coby stay, I think Mathurin will have to play the three on this team. And obviously going forward, they'll have to make that determination as to who to, which two of the three to keep. I think we need a player like Ben Mathurin because I'm going to harp on, the two-way player thing. He's definitely that. He's a dog. He gets to the line. I think a fresh start would be good for him in a new environment. He's not a catch-and-shoot two-guard. I don't know how well he'll play off Giddey, and we always get into ball stoppers, but, hey, man, you got to have dudes that can go get it in the fourth, too. So he's one of those guys that can go get it, and he has no back down when he plays the stars. So I'm really hoping that the Ben Mathurin thing plays out. Thanks, as always, brother. Keep up the great work, and I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Okay, first, I want to put this in perspective. I'm not saying you didn't say this, Vaughn, but I have seen this by a lot of Bulls fans taken incorrectly. When the Bulls said that they want to emulate the success of the Indiana Pacers, it was specifically about the depth and getting it done through depth, having players that fit. It's the fit of that team that makes that team, when it was good, great. It's not just, I've seen people be like, now we need to get our pass. We need a player that plays just like Pat. That's not what they're saying in that. They're saying the compliment to Giddey in the same way that Pascal compliments Halliburton. Not that you're looking for a player that's the same as Pascal Siakam. I think people really took that quote at like too much of a surface level and didn't really think. Now, again, not you, Vaughn. I'm not saying you on that one, Vaughn. But here's what I want to say. You talk a lot about the two-way players, and you always use the Pacers in that case. The Pacers have been a bottom 10 defense every single year Halliburton's been there but one. And that was the 2024-25 season. That was last year. Other than that, they've been a bottom 10 defense every single time. What did I say by that? I mean that to say that you don't have to have an elite defense to be really good in the Eastern Conference. You have to have a defense that's good enough to where, you have to have an offense that's elite enough and a defense that is just enough, right, to where you can make enough defensive stops. Now, two-way players are never going to be bad, right? You want two-way players. I think especially coming off the bench, you want to fill your bench with two-way players. That's the thing. Where me and you have differed at is that it's like sometimes you have said things like a two-way player is somehow more valuable than a Josh Giddey, and that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true in how you look at how the team is built and constructed. But yeah, you want two-way players on your team. You want that. Now, as far as Ben Mathurin, I've loved Ben Mathurin since he came in the league. When he said, hey, LeBron's going to have to show me, that was enough to endear me to Ben Mathurin and told me about his mindset, right? Now, he is a rough around the edges at times. He's inconsistent at times, both defensively and offensively. But, if the Bulls were to make a swing for Ben Mathurin to be your Coby replacement or whatever else, I wouldn't be mad at that. I'd have some questions, but maybe the fit next to Josh Giddey is better. And it does seem like the Pacers may be out on Mathurin, and we'll see where that leads him as far as his availability. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's for one of my favorite callers. This one's from Rhett.
Hello, Haize. How you doing? This is Rack from Palos Hills, and I got a question for your mailbag. How do you feel about trading Coby in a 3-team trade of some kind, if we have to, for Messi, the center, with these two, Coby and Messi, being the prime players in the trade? Let me know how you like it. Let me know if you think it's possible. Later.
Listen, I'm all for Yves Missi, but I don't think you need to trade Coby White for Yves Missi. Reportedly, what we've heard is that they may have to part with him for a few second-round picks or maybe a low-tier first-round pick. If we're going to move Coby for a center, I want to aim high, right? So, again, it's not about not moving Coby. It's about the target. You don't move Coby White for Yves Missi. You move Coby White for a Jalen Duren. You move Coby White maybe for a Zubac. You move Coby White for, I'm at this point, I'm running out of centers. Like a Jalen Duren, absolutely, right? So, like, you move him for that type of player. You don't move him for Yves Missi. That's a player that you can get with just matching salary and taking picks. You don't send Coby in a deal like that for Yves Missi. I like Yves Missi. I think he can come here. I think he can develop. I think he has tons of talent, but that's not the level of player you move Coby White for, at least in my opinion. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from William.
Hey, so William, all the way from Miami, again, 954. Man, last night game, I felt like some of those guys, especially Coby White and then Vooch, are like aware of all the situation with the trades, and it seems like they don't want to be traded or something because they're like playing worse than ever. Like, especially Coby, I don't know what's going on with this man. I know he came back just from the injury, but it seems kind of funny how he was so blindly turnover so easily, right from the get-go of the game, the beginning. I don't know, man. If nothing show up either tomorrow or Sunday game, I think they just don't want to be traded because it feels like, well, if you play bad, we're not gonna get traded or something. It's just terrible how they played last night. Until the last 3 minutes of the game, they decide, oh, you know what, let's play. And I hope they don't trade Ayo. Ayo is the one guy that no matter what, he always give you the 100%. No matter what, he always play hard. So yeah, man, keep the good work. Let's go Bulls and have a good weekend.
Ayo has given tons of effort. Like the two-way play that he brings, the way that he dictates games, the pace that he plays with, all that type of stuff. Ayo Dosunmu is a beast. He's a dog, and he's somebody that I love having on this team. And again, I think anybody can be moved, but you can't just move Ayo for a pick and then expect that you're going to get a better player than Ayo Dosunmu out of it, right? So you'll see what happens with Ayo. I love Ayo in the Bulls uniform. Ayo, for all intents and purposes, seems like he wants to be here. And from what we've heard, he's the most likely to stay if we're playing the game about Ayo versus Coby. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you for leaving that voicemail. Thank you for everybody who left voicemails on today's episode, man. You guys are nothing less than amazing. I can't stress enough how great it is to have a base like what we have here, man. This has been an amazing time here. Have this platform that you guys have given me. I appreciate you guys so much for it. But that's going to do it for today's episode. But now I'm kicking it to you guys. If the Bulls sit multiple starters on Saturday, is that smart strategy or is that waving the white flag? And at the trade deadline, do you keep Ayo no matter what? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm going to be in there talking to you guys all day long. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell as well so you never miss an episode around this trade deadline. Follow us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.